Hello everyone, welcome to the KZGN News. Today we'll bring you news about anti-gun laws going through California, a whole bunch of campaign news, today's gas prices, weather, sports, and much more.
From the Rademacher Hills to Bee Mountain and the mighty Sierras, Ridgecrest to Inyokern and China Lake, this is your news for the Indian Wells Valley with the KZGN News crew.
Hello, I'm Tom Whitnick. Thanks for joining us for the news affecting Ridgecrest and the Indian Wells Valley. In anti-gun news, we get this report. Well, Democrats in a California legislative panel voted Tuesday to advance the 11 proposed gun control measures. During the State Assembly Public Safety Committee meeting, Democrats sparred with National Rifle Association lobbyists who testified against several of the bills. Politicians had the audacity of calling him crazy and vicious for protecting the killers who terrorize our streets. And when the lobbyists said that the legislation wouldn't help save lives, one lawmaker suggested washing his mouth out with soap. Assemblyman Evan Lowe, an openly gay Silicon Valley Democrat, who was speaking about the 49 people slaughtered early Sunday at a gay nightclub in Orlando, Florida, he said, "It's difficult for me to sit here and look you in the eye and respect you." Outrageous language from one of our elected officials. Here are the descriptions of the bills approved Tuesday. SB 869. This bill would require a person, when leaving a handgun in an unattended vehicle, to secure the handgun by locking it in the trunk of the vehicle or locking it in a locked container and placing the container out of plain view. SB 894. This bill would require every person to report the theft or loss of a firearm he or she owns or possesses to a law enforcement agency. SB 1235. This bill would require the Attorney General to also maintain information about ammunition transactions and ammunition vendor licenses for purposes of assisting in the investigation of crimes and specified civil actions. SB 1407. This bill would, commencing July 1, 2018, and subject to exceptions, require a person who manufactures or assembles a firearm to first apply to the department for a unique serial number or other identifying mark. SB 1446. This bill would, commencing July 1, 2017, would require a person in lawful possession of a large capacity magazine prior to July 1, 2017, to dispose of the magazine. SB 880 and AB 1664. These bills would require that any person who, from January 1, 2001 to December 31, 2016, inclusive, lawfully possessed an assault weapon that does not have a fixed magazine as defined and included those weapons with an ammunition feeding device that can be removed readily from the firearm with the use of a tool, register the firearm with the Department of Justice before January 1, 2018. AB 1673. This bill would expand the definition of firearm to include a frame or receiver blank, casting, or machine body that is designed and clearly identifiable as a component of a functional weapon. This takes in those 80% lowers that were sold in the thousands here in California over the last couple of years. AB 1674. This bill would make the 30-day prohibition and the dealer delivery prohibition applicable to all types of firearms. SB 1695. This bill cracks down on the false reporting of guns as lost or stolen, a common tactic of illegal gun sellers, by prohibiting offenders from purchasing a firearm for 10 years. AB 2607. This bill would authorize an employer, a co-worker, a mental health worker who has seen the person as the patient in the last 6 months, or an employee of a secondary or post-secondary school that the person has attended in the last 6 months, to file a petition for an ex parte 1-year or renewed gun violence restraining order. So that's the brief summary of the bills passed by one committee yesterday. Representatives of the NRA and other gun rights groups testified at the hearing that the slate of bills will do nothing to improve California's safety and will instead create cumbersome new rules for law-abiding gun owners that unfairly limit their Second Amendment rights. This legislation will not deter violent crime, NRA lobbyist Dan Reed said, speaking about the bill that would regulate the sale of ammunition. When asked by Lowe whether gun owners' rights to use assault-style rifles for hunting or target shooting outweighs the danger these weapons pose to society, the executive director of the Gun Owners of California insisted that long guns have helped law-abiding citizens defend themselves against attackers hundreds of thousands of times. We should be talking about how many lives these weapons have saved, said Sam Paredes. Republican lawmakers who sit on the Assembly Committee said they share the same goals as Democrats who want to decrease gun violence and prevent the next mass shootings. But they say they couldn't support any of the gun bills the committee considered because they do nothing to stop guns from getting into the hands of bad people or insane people. It is just an attack on the device and not the problem. Next, the bills will be considered by the Assembly Appropriations Committee. After that, the Senate bills will need to win approval on the Assembly floor before being sent to Governor Jerry Brown for consideration. Legislative leaders say lawmakers need to act before the end of the month, when Lieutenant Governor Gavin Newsom must decide whether to pull a control initiative on November's ballot. The NRA has relentlessly defended civilian rights to own weapons. Hillary Clinton supports all these laws, and Trump is on record as not supporting laws that further restrict the people owning and purchasing the weapons of their choice. On the federal level, Washington liberals are now again calling for a ban on assault-style weapons. And in the political aftermath of the Orlando shooting, gun control and what to do to stop these radical Islamist terror attacks has really heated up. On Monday, Clinton and Trump both gave statements on these issues. Clinton basically telling her listeners that we need to be nicer to those people that worship Islam, to be more inclusive of them. She also pushed for a federal ban on assault weapons. Trump, on the other hand, spoke to that we need to have better surveillance of would-be terrorists. He again called for a temporary ban on Muslim immigrants from Syria and Afghanistan until the federal government can do a thorough job of screening these people. The current head of the FBI and Homeland Security have both testified in congressional hearings that they are not able to adequately screen the thousands of immigrants wanting to come to the U.S. from that part of the world. Along with ISIS public declarations that they are using the Syrian refugee movement as a way to export their terrorist soldiers. And this has been proven in Belgium and France. Trump also again declared support for the Second Amendment and not in favor of any new gun restrictions. Now here's what really stirred things up. Trump attacked the policies of the Obama administration and Clinton as the cause of the terror problem in the country. Trump accused Obama of not even calling the enemy by the name, radical extremist Islamists. He charged that if the president can't even call the enemy by their name, how can he develop a plan of action to correct the problem? Trump charged Obama as not doing everything he could to stop the ISIS enemy in Syria and Afghanistan. The air attacks he is deploying is nothing more than a pinprick in a huge enemy. So that is a summary of Clinton's and Trump's Monday speeches. Now stay with us. After the break, we'll have Obama's reply to Trump. Thanks for staying with us. Now we move on to Tuesday's speeches from Obama and then Trump's response to Obama on Tuesday. Trump's Monday comments brought ire from the liberal media and Obama himself. It was clear Tuesday when Obama held a news conference, one where he couldn't take any questions. Tuesday, Obama gave a speech defending his policies on dealing with ISIS and terrorists and his call for more gun control. At one part of the speech, it was clear that Trump has really gotten under Obama's skin. Obama lashed out at the presumptive Republican candidate for attacking all the Muslims, a charge that many pundits disputed later, saying Trump is clearly on record as not attacking all Muslims, only instituting a temporary halt to immigration of them from certain Middle East countries, and stepping up intelligence gathering in the country to find these homegrown terrorists. Anyway, the president called these ideas as threatening the basics of the country, again offering distortions of Trump's actual ideas. And he said he will not stand for it. Well, then Trump later Tuesday lashed right back at Obama. He jested that Obama is more mad at him for pointing out the president's failed plan to control ISIS than he is at the terrorists that killed 49 and wounded 53 people. Here's part of how Trump replied. The level of anger, that's the kind of anger that he should have for the shooter and these killers that shouldn't be here. Trump added, blasting Obama as a lousy president who had done a terrible job, saying that Obama should use that anger and start really attacking ISIS and terrorists, not just talking about it. Obama also added this to his news conference. He doubled down to repudiate Republican campaigns that he was abetting the terrorism by refusing to use the words radical Islamic terrorism. Obama said, "What exactly would using this label accomplish? What exactly would it change?" Well, Trump answered that if you can't even identify the enemy as their true identity, how can you fight them? Trump has before provided a comparison that we called Nazis, Nazis. Obama would have probably called them a JV group of misguided Germans. Anyway, the heat is on the president, and he is trying to push back as he has to defend his policies. In city news, the Ridgecrest City Council will be taking up the 2016-17 budget again tonight. Among all the other items on the agenda, they'll continue discussion of the draft preliminary budget for fiscal year 2016-17. With all things looking like they will probably adopt the budget tonight, if anyone has any inputs on the budget, tonight would be the time to show up and make them. State law requires the council to approve a balanced budget by July 1st. So again, the meeting is Wednesday evening at 6 p.m. So what has all this done to the establishment Republicans? Well, yesterday, House Speaker Ryan tried to distance himself and the party from the harsh anti-Muslim comments from Trump. However, the liberal media has done everything in their power to make the split bigger than it is. The mainstream media is concerned because of what happened in the primary battle. Right after the San Bernardino terror attack, Trump again called for the temporary ban on Muslims from certain Middle Eastern countries. When he did, his poll numbers surged ahead. The liberal media does not want that to happen again. So they are in full assault against Trump and putting pressure on establishment Republicans to join them in their attack on Trump. So what did Trump do after all the Tuesday chaos? Well, he met at Trump Tower in New York with a host of Republican governors, including Oklahoma's Mary Phelan, who is a source close to the campaign said was also on Trump's shortlist to be vice presidential running mate. A Republican official said others in the meeting included the governors of Mississippi, Arizona, Arkansas, Nebraska, and Tennessee, as well as New Jersey's Chris Christie, a close Trump advisor. Additionally, Trump was celebrating his 70th birthday on Tuesday. As comparison, Hillary Clinton is 68. So, that's how he finished Tuesday, and now we move on. In area fire news, we get this report. Last Sunday, they had a big scare in the Tehachapies. Shortly after 9:30 p.m. on Sunday, the Kern County Fire Department was notified of a possible fire burning in the area west of Keene. The location was determined to be north of Highway 58 and east of Bealview Road. Access to the fire was extremely difficult for the first arriving crews. Once on scene, first arriving crews encountered a fire in light, flashy fuels with a slow rate of spread. In all, 60 firefighters from Kern County aggressively attacked the flames and stopped the fire's progression at 20 acres in a little over 4 hours. 9 Type 3 and Type 6 engines, 2 bulldozers, 1 hand crew, 2 battalion chiefs, a safety officer, and 2 water tenders supported the operations. The fire is presently 100% contained. Crews remain on scene for approximately 2 hours to help mop up. The cause of the fire is under investigation. Now in KZGN continuous effort to provide news and information you've asked for, here are today's gas prices for Ridgecrest and some surrounding areas. Well, since my last report, local prices have risen slightly, but all the areas we monitor are also going up too. As of this morning, Ridgecrest is ranging from $2.57 to $2.89. Lancaster from $2.69 to $3.09. The LA Valley area $2.61 to $2.83, and the Bishop area $2.74 to $3.09. We have one station at $2.57 per gallon and 2 at $2.59 per gallon. Tune in Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays for updates. We at KZGN always suggest you shop locally to support our local economy. Remember, when you pay sales tax out of town, you'll help in those cities pave their streets instead of here. Now stay with us. After the break, we'll have weather and sports. Thanks for staying with us. Now here's Lane with the weather.
Thank you, Tom. From the National Weather Service, severe thunderstorms containing large hail, damaging winds, and a few tornadoes will be possible each afternoon and evening into midweek over portions of the central and northern high plains. Heavy downpours may also lead to localized flooding concerns. Temperatures across the nation. Carolinas at 80, Georgia at 85, Arkansas at 94, Northern Texas at 94, Arizona at 93, and Los Angeles at 66. And for us locally, tonight, clear with a low around 63, southwest wind 20 to 30 miles per hour with gusts as high as 40. Thursday, sunny with a high near 90, southwest wind 10 to 15 miles per hour with gusts as high as 30. Thursday night, clear with a low around 65, southwest wind 25 to 30 miles per hour with gusts as high as 35. Friday, sunny with a high near 93, southwest wind 15 miles per hour with gusts as high as 20. Friday night, clear with a low around 67, west-southwest wind 15 to 20 miles per hour with gusts as high as 25. Saturday, sunny with a high near 100, south-southwest wind 5 miles per hour. Saturday night, clear with a low around 69, west wind 10 to 15 miles per hour with gusts as high as 20. And Sunday, sunny with a high near 105, west wind 5 miles per hour. And that is your forecast for the IWV. Now back to Tom.
Thanks, Lane. And now here's Tom Heck with sports.
And a very pleasant Wednesday early evening to everyone. Let's talk about Major League Baseball. The Angels finally get a win last night. They beat Minnesota 5-4. Now tonight the two teams play again game 3 of that 3-game series before the Angels move on and play Oakland this weekend, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday up in the Alameda County Coliseum. Now the Angels find themselves 28-37, 12 games behind first place Texas. The Dodgers had a nice win last night, 7-4 against Arizona. They'll play game number 3 of that series later today in the Phoenix area. Texas got a win last night. They beat Oakland. Colorado beat the Yankees. Boy, Colorado put up 12 runs against the Yankees. Miami beat San Diego. Kansas City, Houston, and Detroit also were winners on Tuesday. Well, it's interesting. One day you're a hero, the next day not so much so. Jose Reyes was put on assignment, and that means that he will no longer be on the active roster for the Colorado Rockies. Well, you say, well, what's so significant about that? Well, what's so significant is the Rockies are going to have to eat $40 million rather than reinstate him. He was suspended 51 games for the club's domestic violence policy. So the Rockies, instead of putting him back on the team, they will go ahead and just release him and eat up that $40 million salary. Back in the day, $40 million was what they paid the entire team in the National League. All right, let's talk about the American League East, the race right now. Baltimore and Boston fighting it out for first place. In the Central, Cleveland and Kansas City, the White Sox have fallen into oblivion. The team that started with the best month of April in the Central has ended up now 1 game out of last place. Out west, Texas and Seattle, Texas with a 5.5 game lead over the Mariners. As mentioned, the Angels struggling 12 games behind the Rangers. Over the National League out east, Washington 5 games over the Mets. The Cubs, the best record in all of Major League Baseball, they have 45 wins. They beat St. Louis, their 9.5 game lead over the Cardinals. And out west, a 6-game lead for San Francisco over the Dodgers. The two teams played last weekend, with the Giants winning 2 of 3 of those games. Now, the Giants are currently 40 wins and 26 losses, and they're a team that can, boy, just score runs in a hurry, and then they're a team that all of a sudden just falls apart. If they get consistent and go on a good roll, they're going to be very tough to beat again this year. Now, on Tuesday night, we watched Game 5. It was a 112-97 win for Cleveland. The two teams play on Thursday night, Game 6. The Cavaliers trying to stay alive. Now, it's interesting, and when I go back to one day you're a hero, the next day not so much, a couple of fans have decided to start a GoFundMe in order to keep Kevin Love from playing in the game. Well, obviously it's not going to happen, but it's interesting, though. They started a GoFundMe page so to pay Kevin Love to sit out of game number 6, as Love has been greatly struggling and taking up too much court space, according to the several that want to go ahead and start that GoFundMe site for Kevin Love. Very interesting. All right, in the NHL, the prof to the Pittsburgh Penguins. They win their third Stanley Cup. They beat the Sharks of San Jose, and it was the Sharks that defeated the Anaheim Ducks in 5 games earlier this season. That's your sports for this Wednesday. I'm Tom Heck for KZGN.
So that's the news for today. Also, KZGN-TV know you have a choice in what you watch for your news. We all thank you for choosing KZGN-TV, Ridgecrest's only locally owned community TV station. Now stay tuned for Ridgecrest Talk coming up next. But first, check out these happy dogs swimming.